The era I prophesized would come has come. Otaku media and otaku culture is under attack. Foreign investors, censorship, cultural attacks, all are increasing at an unforeseen rate. However, otaku culture is strong and it will be able to endure a shockingly large amount of attack and invasion. But should this continue, it will gradually shrink and shrink as our territory becomes increasingly occupied by the opponent. There is a last line of defense, and that is otaku culture's access to self-publishing via the internet and conventions like Comic-Con. We can take solace in the fact that this last line of defense will be impenetrable, at least for the time being. And we will see most creators retreat to this last line of defense in the worst case scenario. However, should this worst case scenario happen, otaku culture will be in a state of paralysis, unable to reach its final form, struggling against an increasingly dystopian and degenerate society. So, what can happen to change this? Is there anything on the horizon to stop this? Well, what we should be asking is what we can do to stop this. Yes, despite the fact that most of us are on the other side of the world, most of us unable to even understand the language, we do have the power to not only save otaku culture, but also to help it flourish. I have a vision. Outside of Japan, even in the entirely degenerated West, a beacon of light. Otaku creators with every bit the level of cultural understanding and skill and unity of the otaku of Japan in equal or possibly even greater number than their Japanese counterparts. With this beacon of light comes a newfound level of power and stability that otaku culture had never known before. Greater control of the market, funds, independence, cultural unity, and confidence will all come with it. So how is it possible for Gaijin to replicate otaku culture? If it was possible, shouldn't we have already seen it? Well, no. There is a barrier. Two barriers, in fact. The first barrier is a simple and crude one. Language. Even if the West was to make an otaku work, a video game, for example, and was to write the game in English and then translate it to Japanese after, knowledge of Japanese is still required to fully understand the kind of works we are trying to learn from and inherit the intentions of. If a Westerner were to try and write an otaku work without having at least a basic understanding of what the works of their target style read like in Japanese, there is a very high probability of that work being cringe. Additionally, it is vital that Western otaku are able to keep a strong thread of communication open with their counterparts in Japan in order to stay in tune and on page. The second barrier is the knowledge of how to attain the skills and understand the inner workings and the principles behind these otaku styles. This is related to the first barrier in that a lot of this knowledge is available, but only if you know Japanese. Additionally, due to the cultural gap, some things are understood and communicated by Japanese differently from how a non-Japanese would understand or communicate the same idea. This can show up a lot when talking about ideas related to the process of creation, where certain information or prerequisite understandings is just being implied by the Japanese. As a non-Japanese outside of Japan, it will be much more difficult for us to acquire both the knowledge of these styles of creation and the skill to perform them. Fortunately, I have dedicated my life to fully understanding otaku creation. I will be imparting everything I learn, as well as everything I continue to learn. As others join in this effort, soon we will have a library of knowledge and community support for understanding how to become an otaku creator of the highest quality and with complete cultural fidelity. Now you might say there is a third barrier. Perhaps this is the most important of all the barriers. This barrier is the darkness in your own soul. It is the Awanian virus that all of us have been infected by in one way or another. We are not trying to create cringe works that are just otaku inspired, but proudly non-Japanese. We are trying to be indistinguishable from true core Japanese otaku. Only then will otaku culture have truly expanded beyond its borders. This is arguably the most sturdy of all the barriers. Surely there are people much smarter than me, and people much more talented than me, and people as concerned with helping the world as me. And so then why am I the one here before you, as the one presenting the plan to break the barrier between the West and otaku culture? Why has no one else made this their life's purpose yet? The reason is simply because the Yawanian virus is that strong. People are infected with it from the moment they are born, maybe even sooner, and they live their life without ever curing it. This virus is what makes you unable to uncover all the secrets of otaku creation and culture, or even worse, unable to even want to. The only way to cure this virus is to charge fully into otaku media, learn the holy tongue, and understand the works at the most fundamental level. Every bit of yourself that resists the adoption of core otaku values is the Yawanian values that have polluted your soul. Rid yourself of those values, and you will be free from Western cringe and able to create true otaku media effortlessly. I will help you discriminate those Yawanian values as we analyze and practice otaku media and define the otaku values with which to purify your soul. Recently, I have seen many ugly reminders of the strength and unity of our opponent. An entire country was cast into violent chaos recently as a great number of its citizens participated in a corrupt movement. A movement that even threatened an attack on Japan itself. It was truly a solemnly eye-opening experience to see the overwhelming majority of the indie game front, including the king of indie games himself, Toby Fox, and even a man who contributed significantly to the popularity of visual novels in the West, Dan Salvato, come out in support of this blatantly anti-otaku movement. If you look at indie games as a whole, the overwhelming majority of the Western indie game scene is ruled by either left-wing extremists and or people utilizing a decisively Yawanian aesthetic, often taking from otaku media only where it's convenient to increase the appeal of their works. The wind is at these people's backs. All the corporate power, the social media, the cultural tide, these are all in their favor. On top of that, they recognize each other as on the same cultural page, and they boost each other on social media, share advice and encouragement, and secure a platform for advertising and selling. They are gaining a monopoly on the market and will shut out anyone who doesn't reflect their cultural values with extreme prejudice. We are already seeing the warning shots of this in incidents where products are banned for anime style. There is no force to challenge them at the moment, and thus they have full reign. But should an otaku culture manifest in the West as powerfully as it is in Japan, this reign will quickly collapse. The reason is simple. Otaku media is vastly superior to cringe media. Its popularity is only limited by those seeking to destroy it. They know this, and thus they try to do everything they can from allowing a true otaku culture to bloom in the West. They fear our power. What the Western otaku must do if they are to become a true otaku is dedicate themselves to the pursuit of the Japanese language and one other primary skill. Of the three primary creation skills, visual art, writing, and music composing, visual art is the most important. The reason is because The entire otaku value system can be derived from the art alone. While our stories and music can come close, they are not as comprehensive as an isolated package as the visual art is. The other reason is that art on its own is a highly attractive product that can get tons of attention and expand our territory, while music and writing typically must be coupled with art to attract the same attention. Additionally, if you were to take a single project, such as a video game or visual novel, the entire project can be made with only one or two composers and one or two writers easily. While it's highly preferable, often necessary, to have several visual artists on board. In recent years, there has been a very popular meme that floats around, and that is the meme of the solo dev. This is an idea encouraged in the current indie dev circles. There are highly promoted videos selling the idea to people that the solo dev is the most noble goal one can possess, as if some sort of mantra. This is the exact opposite of what we need. Otaku must operate as a group. If we are to be strong, we work together. Each person fulfilling their decided role to the best of their ability. Not doing it for personal glory, but rather for the culture as a whole. Our creations are not for personal expression, but rather our personal manifestation of cultural expression. Even in cases of solo devs such as Zoom, he has stated very clearly how he did not do it for glory, but simply as a way to partake in the culture of the doujins, a scene in which the desire for personal glory is highly frowned upon. And yet, our opponent repackages examples like this with their own contrived story, trapping unfortunate individuals in a painful cage of wasted effort and pain. If our culture becomes widespread and powerful, we will never be lacking assistance when needed. Projects will complete and territory will be gained, quickly stripping the power away from the Yawanian cringe that has been contrived to dominate the market. Additionally, with Japanese ability, we can come to the aid of Japanese otaku when they are attacked, adding greatly needed reinforcement to the voice of the Japanese otaku. I believe the indie game scene to be the perfect opportunity for otaku culture to gain ground and amass power, since the market has shown how much interest and money fairly inexpensive projects can generate. It's also very easy a way for otaku creators to combine the three primary forms of creation, visual art, writing, music, in one place. People are starving for otaku, and our opponent is terrified of that fact. People are tired of what they are being force-fed. We just need to deliver. I will be streaming nearly daily. My first focus is going to be on art analysis and practice. I will show what I have learned about otaku art and what I continue to learn and how I improve. Our goal is to create conventional otaku art with full fidelity. Along the way, I will be giving plenty of Japanese learning advice, and eventually will be diving fully into otaku storytelling, dissecting every detail of the various approaches so that we can create truly great stories free of Western degeneracy. Japanese learning will be especially crucial to those looking to master storytelling. I don't have any short-term plans on diving into music, as it is my least understood field, but it is something I continue to learn about. And I'm sure that otaku will emerge who ardently dissect the otaku approach to music with the level of accuracy needed to share their wisdom with the rest of us. A new otaku era is upon us. This is the start of otaku culture manifesting beyond the Japanese border, the start of the otaku empire. We can already see it beginning in Asia, and now we in the West must join, because in many ways, we are the closest of all to the enemy. May true God be with us.